Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chinwag. We've been doing these for about 6 months now, and what I like about coming up to Leeds and doing this, I live down in Barnsley, as you can tell from my accent, is that I get to meet and talk to people I've never met before. But also, sometimes, like this evening, I get to enjoy the pleasure of meeting two old friends. And I have a slight bone to pick with both of you, because going back to 1995, I came to New York, and it was a wonderful experience. Johnny paid for me to go for my 30th birthday. I'm 48 now, so you don't have to do the math. And I actually appeared as a guest performer on the album, and I never got a credit for it. I never got a thank you on that or any subsequent album. Yeah. And it's always kind of stuck somewhere. It's always been a really strange felt body sense, which now as a therapist I can, having done a little bit of body work.
I'd like to work through that with you if I can right now. Firstly, I'd like to publicly apologise in front of all these people for that, and I hold myself responsible, because I actually typed out those lyrics myself and credits, and to be honest with you,
I can feel it lifting. I can feel the pain. Oh, it's not pain, it's more of a kind of tension around sort of that area.
I don't know what happened. I do remember you being there in the studio, which was actually the studio where I used to work in New York.
That's right, yeah. I clapped on it. I clapped on the last track of that album. I clapped and I stamped to my feet as well. And I had some trousers that had buckles on the bottom. Gaz, do you remember those trousers? Yeah. Gaz had a pair as well. We used to walk around Leeds. Yeah. Well, walk is probably not the best way to describe how we used to crawl. God, well, how many years has it been since well, I know you've been back individually, but as the colossus that is Spacehog, how long's it been?
15 years, I think. Yeah.
That's a really long time.
It is.
What happened?
You want the long or the short answer?
I've just turned the volume down, so I've got got my phone here with the time on it. Time do you close? Is it 11 o'clock? So that gives us about 3 hours, I reckon. And then, of course, the shutters will come down. And
that'll be it.
Yeah.
We made a second record and we toured that. And people here seem to like it in the UK. And then we made a third record and we didn't get asked back. So I don't really know what happened between '98 and now, but we were enjoying a certain amount of record company support, which wasn't available to us, and still isn't available to us. But this time we were kind of determined and felt we had a great record, and we all fancied a trip back, really. So here we are. Sorry we're late.
And I said to you, Roy, earlier on, I could blow smoke into somewhere, but I went on pledge.com. I could have asked Johnny for a copy, and I'd have felt a bit of a cheapskate doing that, because we're living in a really different time now, and certainly as a group of musicians working together to create something. I think what you did was great, and I got the album and I've listened to it consistently, and of course putting this into context, I know you guys, and Johnny's my mate, you're my mate, and I wanted it to be really good, and I listened to it one time and it was all right. stay with me. That's good. And you know, because you're my mate, so you know, I listen to it a bit more. And what I found about it is it's like it's Spacehog grown up. Where you know? So you know, what has been the transition from this break up in the early noughts to this, and you know, how has that sound evolved?
Well, I think, you know, I'm 41 years old now, you know, and when I moved to New York, I was 21 when you were doing that stomping business, and you know, the life has happened to us all in that time, and as a result, I think there is a maturity to us that you know, can't help but come through the music, really. It's certainly been a, you know, making this record, during the process of making this record, it's been a kind of a personally challenging time for me. And I think, you know, that's reflected in the music. So I'm glad that you think it's a kind of Spacehog grown up, because we are, really. We really are. We're like, you know, both Johnny and I have children of our own, and you know, the perspective inevitably looks different from here than it did, you know, having arrived in 1994 in New York.
Because that first album, as I understand it, it came almost, you know, the songs have been around for a few years. You'd been writing, and so you know, so it was, and it was a really instant record. And then you made two other albums, one of which, you know, as you say, Johnny, you know, wasn't supported by a record company that well. My impression of Spacehog from the third album was that you were. It sounded to me a little bit like you were running on empty. It sounded like you were pulling influences from all over. This sounds like you're not doing that. This sounds like a real grown-up statement. The last thing didn't.
It was very difficult to get done. There was a point where I really felt like I've got a choice. I can either make this record begrudgingly or walk away from the whole thing. And I thought that it would be a little bit kind of remiss to kind of walk away from everybody, including myself. But as a result, for me, it was always a compromise, and I think that comes out there on that record. It's not my favourite one as a result, whereas this one was really, you know, I had to make this record. It was something, I mean, whether or not it's well received or you know, successful in any form, I had to do it, you know, and I think that's true, Johnny and Rich particularly, to you know, to get it out, really, rather than you know, repress it.
Because it is really labour of love, this. I mean, you know, you've not got a record company backing, and so you've had to pay for everything yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is a, you know, proper labour of love. What is it that drives you to, you know, to spend that amount of time and that amount of passion doing, you know, making a creative statement? You just said that you needed to do it.
Yeah, I think so. I've, you know, there was a sense, I think, when we got to 2001 and we finished the third record, you know, September 11th happened. We were all there in New York, and you know, the things had been blown apart in many ways, not just physically, but you know, spiritually, really. And as a result, we you know, we needed to take a break. And however, that kind of, you know, it was a kind of sideswipe for the world and for us. And as a result, we never really got to have a sense of completion or fulfillment in that way. Creatively, I think, as a group, we were always kind of you know, we'd underachieved for sure. I certainly felt like we had, and especially having some time away working with other people who were not as good in a way, or certainly not as good a fit. It seemed an injustice to myself not to give it everything I could, you know, and as a result of you know, having to support ourselves, it's brought about a very different process in actually doing it, you know, in actually making a record, and you know, that affects the music and the work itself. So, you know, it's I'm very proud of it. It's you know, it's great to be sitting here with you and all you guys, and be able to talk about something that exists, you know, and that for me was always what I loved about getting the opportunity in the first place to make a record and release a record. You know, when we did like Resident Alien, that was always the kind of, you know, we get to leave a little document of time forever, and that's a beautiful thing to me.